Hello, good evening. Today we are discussing about the art of asking questions. This session has several series. Ensure you are completing all the series in the same sequence. Now, let's get into the topic of introduction. In every professional environment, communication decides your visibility, your influence, and your growth. And one of the most powerful yet underrated skill is asking the right questions. Most people think communication means speaking well, but in reality, powerful communicators are known by the questions they ask because questions shape the conversations and conversations shape decision. In this session, we are going to learn how to move from asking basic questions to asking questions that creates impact, directions and influence. Are your questions driving conversations? Have you ever asked a question but received only a simple yes or no answers? Have you ever tried to start a discussion but it didn't go anywhere? This happens more often than we realize, especially in meetings. You ask something expecting a discussion, but what you get is just yes or no in silence. And suddenly the conversation dies. This is not because people don't know how to speak. It's because the question did not invite them to think or share. In professional settings, the way you ask the question directly decides how people respond. The power of framing your question. Before people engage with you, before people open up and share, they decide one thing instantly. Is this worth a detailed answer or just a quick response? Because before anyone responds, they subconsciously evaluate the value of your conversation. Within a few seconds, they decide whether the discussion deserves the thoughts and engagement or just a quick reply. That's why some conversations naturally expands with insights and discussion, while others ends immediately with one-word answers. The way you frame your questions directly influence the depth of the responses you receive. Then where does the real problem comes from? Real power comes from. And that real power comes from the way you frame your question. Remember, the quality of answers you get is decided by the quality of question you ask. So the real power is not in the answer. The power is in the question. The way you frame your questions directly influence how people think, respond, and engage in conversations. If you improve your question, your conversations automatically improve. And when your conversation improves, your visibility and impact increase. This is one principle you should always remember throughout your professional career. Identify questions efficiency. Now, let's focus on how to identify questions efficiency because not every question creates the same impact. You will see how small changes in the way you speak questions can completely changes the directions of conversation. Most importantly, you will learn how to ask questions that makes people think instead of generating short yes or no answers. Once you understand the question's efficiency, you will start asking questions that create stronger discussion, better visibility, and greater influence in professional conversations. Weak questions that kills impact. Look at these questions carefully. These are not wrong questions. In fact, many of us ask similar questions in the meeting because it feels polite and safe. These questions are not incorrect, but they are ineffective. Why? Because they're designed to be safe, not impactful. In many workplaces, people hesitate to sound direct, but they often their questions too much, and that is, and in that process they lose clarity and influence. How hesitations weakens your question. Example: Hi, if you don't mind, is it really important to talk to every customer? Excuse me, a small question. Actually, do you think this will work? Sorry to ask this. Can we make it more impactful somehow? Notice the pattern here. Too many fillers, hesitations, and indirect phrasing. When you start like this, you reduce the weight of your question. It sounds unsure, and that affects how seriously people take it. What happens because of this? They sound polite, but they limit the conversation. They push for yes or no answer instead of insight. Hence, a short answer, yes or no. No further discussion. No visibility for the people asking. This is the key problem. Politeness is good, but over politeness reduces impact. Instead of opening discussion, these questions close it. And when conversation don't expand, your contribution also remains limited. Then what should we do? In a meeting, your question is your opportunity to show how you think. It's your chance to bring value into the conversation. Every time you ask a question in a meeting, you are not just asking, you are showing how you think. You are demonstrating your clarity, your perspective, and your value. So use that opportunity wisely. Now, identify the questions efficiency, the strong manner. Now that we understand how questions efficiency influences conversation, let's move to the next important step. Identify strong questions. As we go through the next example, observe how small changes in wording can transform an ordinary questions into a powerful conversations driver. In every meeting, there are two types of people. One, those who ask the questions just to clarify. Second, those who ask questions that move the conversations forward. Leaders belongs to the second category. They don't ask random questions. They ask structured, purposeful questions. This is where the shift happens from being a participant to becoming a contributor. Leaders don't just ask the question, they guide conversations. Their questions brings clarity, directions and action. Questions that drive productive conversations. What's working well and what's not? What is limiting our results right now? What risks should we address early? How can we improve for a better impact? What support is needed to move faster? Notice the difference. These questions opens thinking. They invite analysis, reflection, and solution. This is how conversation becomes productive. What happens because of this? Answer you get is insights, data, challenges, and solutions with clear direction, deeper thinking, and strong engagement. This is the outcome of strong questioning. You become visible and the conversation moves forward. What makes this different? Weak questions seek approval. Strong questions creates understanding. The quality of your question decides the quality of your leadership. Now, shift from weak questions into a strong questions. Now that we understand the differences between the weak and strong questions, let's see how this applies in the real professional conversations. Focus not just on the words, but on the intent behind the questions. Because in workplaces, interviews, feedback discussions, and leadership conversations, the quality of your questions directly influences the quality of your responses you receive. Let's try to transform your weak questions into a strong one. The weak ask, any feedback for me? Instead, what's one thing I can improve immediately to create more impact in my work? Weak ask, can you tell me about this role? Instead, the strong ask, what does success look like in this role in my first 90 days? Weak ask, are there any opportunities available? A strong ask, what skills or results would make someone stand out for upcoming opportunities in your team? Don't ask to get the information. Ask to create directions, clarity, and opportunity. So far, we understood how strong questions creates better conversations and stronger professional impact. But communication skills improves only when we practice them consistently. In next activity, you are going to transform weak questions into strong, purposeful questions. As you go through this exercise, focus on one thing. Instead of asking questions that seeks approval, start asking questions that create clarity, directions, insight, and improvement. Now let's apply what you have learned. Now pause the video for a few minutes, rewrite each of these weak sentences into a strong version, and comment your transformation below the video. This practice will help you to build the habit of asking more impactful questions in your real professional conversations. Do you think this approach is fine? Should we maybe continue with the same plan? Is there anything we should improve or is this okay? Do you think the results are acceptable? Move beyond your role. Focus on the result you produce. Hope you already noted down your answers. Now compare your answers with the what is the possible strong way of ask here. This is how you can convert your weak questions into value based question. Do you think this approach is fine? Instead, what improvements would make this approach effective? Should we maybe continue with the same plan? What changes can help us achieve better results than our current plan? Is there anything we should improve or is this okay? What improvements that would create a biggest impact here? Do you think the results are acceptable? Can we improve these results to exceed the expectations? Don't ask for the approvals, ask for insights and improvement. So far, we have explored the differences between weak questions and strong questions. And we have seen how right questions can completely change the quality of the conversation. But in real professional environment, asking powerful questions consistently is not always easy. Many people know they should ask better questions, but in meetings, discussions, or a high pressure situation, they often ask random, unclear, or approval seeking questions without realizing it. That is why having a simple structure becomes important. A structured approach helps you think with clarity before asking. It helps you ask questions with purpose instead of hesitations. And it helps you to create conversation that lead to insight, engagement, and action. In this section, we'll explore a simple framework that makes it easy to remember how to ask Strong, structured, and impactful questions in professional conversation. The ask framework. In powerful conversations, the right questions opens the right door. Clarity creates curiosity, and curiosity builds connection. This is quick win style ask framework. A refers to aim with purpose. Know why you are asking a question. Don't ask randomly. S refer spark thinking. Ask questions that make people think, not just reply. K refers to keep it open and clear. Avoid yes or no. Invite ideas, insights, and stories. This is your key takeaway. Every question should have a purpose. Make people think and open conversations. Apply this framework consistently, and your communications will transform. Share in the comments how you will apply this in your meeting. Thank you for being part of this session. Applying these concepts in your next meeting and observe the difference how people respond to you. Thank you very much.